A move that he denied was in the offering a year ago, but it does look like a deal has been done.
Number 10, Mark Recchi. Pittsburgh Penguins to Philadelphia Flyers and Philadelphia Flyers to Pittsburgh Penguins. Known as the Battle of Pennsylvania, the feud between NHL sides the Pittsburgh Penguins and Philadelphia Flyers is intense. In 1991, Mark Recchi was on top of the world with the Pittsburgh Penguins after winning the Stanley Cup.
Recchi is tipped it to Lemieux. Back to Recchi. To the backhand. He scores! 3-0 Pittsburgh.
Yet the following season, he was traded to the Flyers and had to watch as the Penguins picked up another Stanley.
Obviously, it was a big trade for both, for three teams that were involved. And for me to step on that ice, I remember that like it was yesterday.
Recchi then had a stint with the Montreal Canadiens before returning to the Flyers. But in 2004, the Penguins' call lured him back and he signed as a free agent. The winger enjoyed 3 seasons with the side, in between turning out for the Carolina Hurricanes. In 2011, Recchi finished on a high by retiring after his side, the Boston Bruins, won the Stanley Cup.
No matter what happens tonight, this is one of the best groups I've ever played with. This is a great way to go out on top for me. I've had a hell of a run, and I can't thank these guys enough for me.
Number 9, Dennis Law. Manchester United to Manchester City. Alongside Bobby Charlton and George Best, Dennis Law was part of Manchester United's legendary trident that gave the side much success in the 1960s.
They got the saying of calling someone the king, and I think Dennis Law was the first ever was called the king here.
After all, each of these players won the iconic Ballon d'Or through this time. But by 1973, Law struggled for game time and was given a free transfer to his former side and local rivals, Manchester City.
I got offered a few different places, but when Manchester City came up, I thought, well, I'm here, I don't have to travel or whatever, and so that was ideal.
In City's last game of the season, they faced United. Late in the game, Law rolled back the years with a nifty backheel goal against his former employers, eventually giving them the win. However, instead of celebrating, the Scottish forward looked broken. At the time, Law believed his goal had relegated United. However, due to other results, they were down regardless.
It was a famous goal. Is it one that still troubles you a little? I'll take that as a yes.
Number 8, Earl Monroe. Baltimore Bullets to New York Knicks.
A 4-time All-Star and a Hall of Famer, number 15, Earl the Pearl Monroe.
Throughout the 1960s and early 70s, the Baltimore Bullets, now the Washington Wizards, and the New York Knicks had a heated rivalry as two of the best sides in the NBA, as they battled in the playoffs often. While the Knicks had Walt Frazier as their star, the Bullets had Earl the Pearl Monroe. However, in 1971, Monroe wanted to move on to another side as a contract dispute with the Bullets emerged. In the end, Monroe was traded to the Knicks for 2 players plus cash.
And he was the star of Baltimore, scoring everything that you can imagine. He was willing to sacrifice his own personal abilities for the team's benefit and ended up winning a world championship with the Knickerbockers.
There were concerns Frazier and Monroe's styles would clash. Instead, the duo created one of the most successful partnerships in NBA history.
We really had mutual respect for each other. I mean, obviously, when I came here, I wasn't really the player that I was before. It took me a while to get back into really playing the game.
Monroe would end up having his number retired by the Knicks and the Wizards. Number 7, Lou Brock. Chicago Cubs to St. Louis Cardinals.
My base running ability was a force to baseball, force that one has to deal with.
There goes Brock again, and he's safe with a head-first line.
There aren't many rivalries in the MLB more intense than that between the Chicago Cubs and St. Louis Cardinals. So you can imagine the shock when in 1964, the Cubs decided Lou Brock wasn't developing enough and traded him as part of a deal to the Cardinals to get Ernie Broglio.
I thought I'd be sent back to the minor leagues. I had no idea that I would be traded. I got to St. Louis, and lo and behold, I found a home.
However, instead of being the coup it seemed, this trade would become a phrase for lopsided exchanges in sports with Brock for Broglio. While Broglio petered out, Brock became a machine at the Cardinals, especially when it came to stealing bases and setting records.
And this is it, folks. Brock has now stolen 893.
The left fielder would be part of a Cardinals side that took 2 World Series, leading to him getting his shirt retired and going into their Hall of Fame. Number 6, Ken Norton Jr., Dallas Cowboys to San Francisco 49ers. In the early 90s, the Dallas Cowboys were on another level in the NFL with Ken Norton Jr. as its linebacker.
What a tackle by Ken Norton! A KO for Norton!
After all, in 1993 and 94, the Cowboys won the Super Bowl consecutively.
They were there in the 70s, fell off in the 80s. They're back on top now, and they should stay there a while.
However, in 1994, the Cowboys decided with the restriction of a salary cap, they didn't need to splash out for Norton anymore and let him leave for free. So he signed up with the Cowboys' hated adversaries, the San Francisco 49ers. Norton's first season got off to a rough start, but it ended perfectly as he was involved in securing the franchise the Super Bowl in 1995, becoming the first player, and at the time of writing, the only one, to win 3 of them in a row.
Super Bowl 29 has come to a completion. The San Francisco 49ers are the first team to win 5 Super Bowl championships.
Number 5, Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes to Ferrari.
I'm just very proud of the team and my family as well.
After making his name in Formula One and getting a world championship in 2008 with McLaren, Lewis Hamilton left the team in 2013 for Mercedes in a shock move.
Real privilege to be here. Obviously, I know you guys have had a couple of tough years, and I'm just here to work alongside all of you.
There began one of the most successful partnerships in racing history. Hamilton picked up 6 more world championships, 4 of which he won in a row. However, in 2024, Hamilton announced he was activating a release clause and leaving Mercedes to join Ferrari in 2025, sending shockwaves through the racing world.
A move that he denied was in the offering a year ago, but it does look like a deal has been done, with our colleagues at Sky Sports News reporting.
Mercedes and Ferrari's rivalry began in 1954, before the former stopped racing for decades. But that old animosity returned when they came back as a team in 2010 and traded wins and championships. Number 4, Sol Campbell, Tottenham Hotspur to Arsenal. Separated by 4 miles are English Premier League sides Arsenal and Tottenham, and they have one of the fiercest rivalries whenever they face off in the North London Derby.
Arsenal have the lead! It's an own goal by Romero!
There's an unwritten rule that players can't move between the clubs. Well, in 2001, Spurs defender Sol Campbell, a homegrown player, broke that. With his contract expiring, a host of quality sides like Barcelona and Bayern Munich were interested in his signature. Yet he chose Arsenal, causing him to be known as Judas to Tottenham fans.
Others have made the same trip but never encountered such vitriol. Sol Campbell returning to the ground where he served Spurs so well.
Even years later, when Campbell was playing for Portsmouth, some Spurs fans were banned after making offensive chants towards him.
The move, I'm gonna apologise and say, look, sorry about the hurt, inflicted on them.
Number 3, Terrell Owens, Philadelphia Eagles to Dallas Cowboys. In 2000, the San Francisco 49ers' Terrell Owens sparked controversy when he ran to the center and celebrated touchdowns on the Dallas Cowboys star logo, causing a fight to break out.
I wasn't doing it to taunt anybody. I wasn't directing it at anybody.
I think Emmitt Smith and the Cowboys took it a little differently.
Fast forward to 2005, when Owens was playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, he found himself in another scandal after publicly criticizing his quarterback, Donovan McNabb, and Eagles management.
It has been brought to my attention that I have offended the organization and my teammates. Therefore, I would like to apologize for any derogatory comments toward them.
In 2006, Owens was released by the franchise, so he got some revenge by joining the Cowboys, the Eagles' arch rival. When he arrived in Philadelphia to face the Eagles, the reaction of their fans was intense as boos and jeers rang out, causing the wide receiver to struggle. Number 2, Babe Ruth, Boston Red Sox to New York Yankees. After joining the Boston Red Sox in 1914, Babe Ruth led the side to 3 World Series wins, beginning his legend and turning him into their beloved hero.
In 1919, the Babe led the American League with 29 home runs, which was more than all but 5 teams in baseball. Ruth was the Red Sox principal attraction, the team's biggest draw.
Yet in 1919, his contract was suddenly sold to the New York Yankees. It's rumored it was done to finance a Broadway play. There, Ruth continued to excel, winning more World Series while Boston underwent the infamous curse of the Bambino.
That single transaction, perhaps the most famous and curious in sports history, defined the Red Sox franchise.
They didn't win a championship for 86 years, causing further resentment between the two baseball teams.
Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
This led to the Red Sox and Yankees developing one of the most intense rivalries in not just baseball, but in all American sports. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Bernd Schuster. The midfielder shockingly went from Barcelona to Real Madrid to Atletico Madrid. Johnny Damon. After claiming he wouldn't do it, Damon left the Boston Red Sox for the New York Yankees.
Johnny Damon, with his 6th hit of the game, drives in better meat, and the Yankees win.
Deion Sanders. The Super Bowl winning 49er left them for the Dallas Cowboys to win it again.
Fortunately, I played for 5 teams. It's not like I wanted to leave one, but I had to.
Number 1, Luis Figo. Barcelona to Real Madrid.
The Portuguese played over 300 games in the First Division, scoring more than 60 goals and being named the best player in the world.
In the world of sports, there aren't many rivalries as iconic and as bitter as Spain's El Clásico between Barcelona and Real Madrid. For 5 years, Portugal's Luis Figo was Barca's standout player.
Figo burst onto the scene and became the club captain, guiding the Blaugranas to numerous trophies.
Yet in 2000, he broke the sacred rules when Madrid signed him. Shortly after, Figo won the Ballon d'Or for his performances with Barca, rubbing more salt in the wound. When he returned to Camp Nou after his transfer, Figo was met with horrendous signs and taunts as he feared attack. It got worse in 2002. Whenever Figo took a corner, projectiles rained down from the Barca crowd, forcing the winger to remove them from the pitch. One of the items disturbingly and infamously included a pig's head. Who's the greatest athlete to spend their whole careers with one team? Paul Scholes, Lou Groza, George Armstrong, George Brett, or someone else? Let us know below.
Paul Scholes with the most brilliant goal.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from Watch Mojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.